Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today we are talking about book 4 of the Wheel of Time series, The Shadow Rising. Many fans of Robert Jordan's work will confidently tell you that this book is the best of them all, with a huge level of character development, world building, and complex interwoven plot lines. It's unforgettable, and it might be one of the most challenging books of the series to adapt. And if you haven't read it, proceed with caution because I will be covering events from it. So let's take a look at some of these massive hurdles. The Shadow Rising is the turning point of the entire series. The stakes are raised to incredible heights, and every conflict that happens sets up major plot lines that circle back around in later books. They all lead to more disputes or massive resolutions, and with only 8 hours to cover the book on screen, any change needs to be done with surgical precision because trying to fit every single moment on screen is impossible. How much time should be spent on character development versus building up lore for all the new cultures? Which characters have the most climatic payoffs? How much attention should be focused on themes like destiny, prophecy, and what moments will be the most engaging? And out of all of these examples, which serve the most emotional impact, leading to a really fulfilling and engaging watching experience? Furthermore, can you even have the same amount of emotional impact if you can't spend as much time on character development because there's so little time to do it? If you've read the book and you love the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. While The Shadow Rising isn't my favorite of this series, I have to admit that this book has the most evenly spread amount of payoff per character. And in my opinion, character payoff is going to be the most difficult challenge for Season 3 because there's simply so much happening. Rand becomes a prophesized leader, marking the biggest turning point in his story, coming to terms with ties to his past. Perrin secures the Two Rivers from the clutches of Trolloc invaders, grappling with his sense of identity and leadership. Nynaeve goes toe-to-toe with the Forsaken alone, learning the true potential of her power, fleeing a castle in a daring escape with Elaine, while Bail Doman and his sailors stage a massive riot as a diversion. Matt discovers the riddles of his future and receives mystical items to help him on his future endeavors. It's a lot of payoff. And if we look at Season 2, many fans felt that Egwene was the main focus, despite Rand having the most screen time. And it's because her character arc had the most payoff. And I'd argue that the vast majority of criticism around Season 2 stems from book fans feeling the payoff wasn't as evenly spread as they hoped. Thanks to Reddit user James Torfin for the screen time graph, which I will link in the description below. And I truly believe that this is where the real challenge comes with adapting The Shadow Rising. Is there genuinely enough time to distribute all the payoff in the way that makes The Shadow Rising stand out as a fan favorite? Logically, can it be done? If we move on from payoff, I think the next big challenge of Season 3 will be meshing together some of the more bizarre and mystical moments of The Shadow Rising in a way that book fans will enjoy, but also not confuse the viewers who have no familiarity with the books. The first plot point that comes to mind is Rand's journey within Ruidion, as he witnesses the history of the Aiel through the history of his Aiel ancestors. On one hand, are new viewers familiar enough with the Tankers to understand the link? Perhaps we spend a little more time with them in the Two Rivers, so the association within Rand's flashback really hits home. But on the subject of the flashback, these moments are confusing because of the non-chronological order. We go back further and further into time, seeing flashes of what the world looked like during major periods of history, making it simple enough to understand but complex enough to capture the otherworldliness of the experience might be another big hurdle when it comes to dialogue, production design, and editing. There are a few other really large mystical elements of the story that are explored in The Shadow Rising that become a staple of this series. The next one is the World of Dreams, or Teleron Riod. Egwene, the Wise Ones, and Nynaeve will all meet within this parallel world where all the possibilities of a dream can be willed into existence. It's not just a meeting place, but a stage in which many future conflicts will happen. I think season 2 has done a great job of setting up this location, but its complexities haven't been fully explained. The television show will have to really push the boundaries of what is possible to show given the budget. So many meetings take place in the Stone of Tyr in the books, which is a place we haven't seen yet on screen. So I have to assume that the stone as a meeting place will be changed to another set already in use to cut back on the money it would take to create massive sets for the meeting places. It's going to take a lot of discussion on how to be creative and depict everything that comes along with this location, how it's utilized, and how much time can be dedicated to making sure people really understand it. The next mystical element that might cause some difficulties is Perrin's communication with Hopper within the wolf dream. In season 2, Perrin communicates with Hopper via images. So that leaves these conversations hindered by what can be understood by images alone. It's not impossible, but I think this could limit just how much we see Hopper and how much information Perrin learns about the wolf dream. It's always possible some of this information could be given to him via Slayer, so I'm expecting some changes here. If we move to the next slightly bizarre but rather important mystical element, it's Mat's encounters with the Finn. I know some fans believe that this will be cut because Matt already has his Ashendari. I still think it's very likely that we see them. In my interview with costume designer Sharon Gillum, she hints that we will see a character unlike anyone we've seen so far, and the Finn seem like the most likely. But if we move forward, the Finn are just bizarre. It's another one of those elements that gives an otherworldly, almost science fiction type presence to a story that many would presume to be just high fantasy. But the real challenge is in adapting the Finn in a way that doesn't feel hokey. They speak in riddles, they look like snake men and foxmen hybrids. The maze like interiors of Sindhall could also be a challenge to create for the screen. It's a lot. And if you get it right, it sets Matt up on a really fulfilling plotline. If you get it wrong, it's just kind of goofy. And I say that as someone who loves the Finn, but also find them kind of goofy. Now, the very last thing I want to bring up in terms of challenges is all of the side quests and other important plot lines. The Shadow Rising has some really phenomenal moments outside of what happens to our young core characters. Moraine learns events of her future, the Black Aja is introduced, the White Tower falls into the hands of new leadership, Suan Sanche reaches her lowest point emotionally. New cultures are established in Tanchico. The Aiel Waste, the royal line of Andor is explored, and multiple new Forsaken are introduced. We meet the Sea Folk, and there are so many moments linking all these events, which marks it as a turning point. The characters take on more responsibility, and the scope of the series expands dramatically. This, coupled with the fact that the book is probably the most popular of the series, really elevates the expectations of season 3. And it also feels like everyone is really antsy to see just how much attention Rand will receive as one of the main protagonists. It will absolutely be the biggest season of The Wheel of Time yet, and it's possible that the green light for Season 4 is dependent on the popularity of Season 3. Not to add any pressure or anything. I'd love to hear what other people think will be the biggest challenges for the adaptation of The Shadow Rising, and if you feel like sharing, let me know in the comments section. I don't believe that some stories are meant to only live in the imagination, untouched by the limits of television. But the more you look at the books, the clearer it becomes that changes have to be made for budget restrictions, length and detail, and marketability. Fans will have to make concessions. After sitting down with so many who have worked on this show, like costume designer Sharon Gillum, production designer Andre Nekvasil, and the language consultant Naomi Joy Todd, it's really clear just how much time, effort, and excitement has gone into the adaptation. It's a massive undertaking where every single person is hoping they don't have to make any concessions, but the reality is that time and money plays a big part. My expectations for season 3 as an adaptation are sky high. I love the story, but we probably have close to a year before we see the trailer for season 3, and I'm really looking forward to any PR or behind the scenes content. It feels like everything is at a standstill in terms of Wheel of Time TV, but I'm looking forward to the rush once it comes. I have to imagine everything going into season 3 is like one of Perrin's blacksmith puzzles, and the longing, well, it's just really long. In other news, I'm really close to hitting 5,000 subscribers, and I'd love to make that possible before the end of the month. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you give this video a like or share it. I'm really excited to cover more Wheel of Time when the time comes and we get a little more information on season 3. If you follow my channel, you'll see that I've been covering a lot of other series with guests and have been talking about some of the books I've been reading in my downtime. I also plan on covering Rings of Power at the end of the month with Laura from A Brick Without a Wall, and some more series with Josh from Black Tower Podcast and Two Geeks One Mic. So I've got a lot keeping me busy while we wait. That wraps things up. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you back next time.